against an objective criterion, usually a clock. It is where the fastest wins, where the stopwatch doesn't lie, and success or failure is measured at the checkered flag. But for those who live racing, it really is more than just a race against the clock. The tension, the drama, and the unpredictability of the race, all of this adds to what racing really is. In racing, respect is earned the old-fashioned way, and greatness is built one victory at a time. Out there you are alone, with nowhere to hide. Any sign of weakness and you will be exposed. Lose focus for a single moment, and you will face the full wrath of the laws of physics. When the weight of the world comes crashing down on you, will you quit? Or will you dust yourself off and keep on fighting? Racing is where history is made, and where champions rise from the crowd, accepting all challenges fearlessly. Champions aren't only measured by what they have won, but by what they have overcome on their road to glory. Without obstacles, tough battles, and pain, victory is empty. So what is racing? Racing is 100% commitment to everything you do. At KTM, racing drives us and makes our world turn. This is the world that awaits you. KTM, ready to race.
An orange hello, an Austrian servus, and a very warm welcome here at Hangar 7. This is going to be a night flight taking us to the presentation of the brand new KTM Freeride E-XC. Hope you have a great time here in Salzburg. Travel was nice. And if you're watching us via internet in the United States, greetings from Austria, and also to you, a very warm servus. We're about to begin now. So, who's the guy on the microphone? My name is Stefan Pierer, normally working for the Austrian TV channel Servus TV. We're broadcasting MotoGP and other motorsports. So I'm very happy to be here with you tonight, very happy to be here on stage for you. This is going to be a small presentation, around about 1 hour. After that, it's going to be dinner time, so you won't leave this place hungry. That's the good message to all of you. And we will provide a technical explanation of this brand new baby, as well as we want to grab the chance to talk about a topic which is really hot in these days. We want to talk about KTM's visions concerning e-mobility. So it's a good chance to grab some stories from here tonight, to talk about some stories, and it's also a chance for me to welcome a few people. First of all, I want to welcome 2 or 3 true KTM legends who I met before. It's difficult to see them because the light is very sharp here on the stage. I want to welcome first of all Heinz Kielgartner, who is a motocross double world champion with the orange bike, with the orange motorcycle from Austria, and also a top seller of the freeride bikes in Austria. So he sells more bikes than anybody else here in Austria. Heinz, where are you? With your hands. Welcome. There he is. Also with him, Hannes Kielgartner, his son. Welcome to you as well, Hannes. Great to have you here. And I just saw Hubert Trunkenpolz before, former motocrosser as well, and now as a motorsports director at KTM, responsible for the ongoing and permanent success in enduro, in motocross, and also in MotoGP. Glad to have you here, Hubert. Where are you? I hope it's This is the Legends Corner. So I'm not going to do this alone. We will start with a small panel discussion, and let me introduce to you our panel for tonight. He's a very important person. He's a man on a mission since 1992. Please welcome the CEO and the chairman of the executive board of the KTM Corporation, Mr. Stefan Pierer. Please. He's a member of the executive board of the KTM Corporation as well, responsible for sales. Please welcome Mr. Hubert Trunkenpolz. Good to see you. Please take a seat. And last but not least, with his agency responsible for brand development and design since over 20 years, please welcome Mr. Gerald Kiska. Gentlemen, good to have you here. Let's start with a small summary, with a small update, status quo. How is KTM doing? I guess you're in a glad position, Stefan Pierer. It's good times to be on the top of this company. Very, very perfect numbers. If we look at sales and very, very successful times in motorsports. So good times for you and your company.
First of all, a warm welcome to everybody at Hangar 7. It's a great honor to have you here. The KTM success story is an ongoing one. We're already heading towards the year's end, and we expect the 7th year of a record year. So we will have more than 1.5 billion euro sales. So Hubert, I'm looking to you, slightly more than 230,000 units globally, which is, we're really proud of that. This year is a very special one because we have leveraged our strategic cooperation with Bajaj. We decided to bring the Husqvarna street models as a global product, so it will become a joint product. That has a huge influence in our midterm plan. Instead of doing 300,000 in 21, we expect 400,000. So basically, we keep the speed. And on motorsport, I think is an outstanding successful year, as you already mentioned. On off-road, I think we have collected almost everything what's getting Supercross title, outdoor, all the motocross championships. Just recently, we took the World Championship in Rally, and in MotoGP, even me, I'm really surprised how fast it's going to catch up to the leading guys. It's beyond my always very ambitious expectations. So, all in all, we keep the speed and we want to become a real big global player.
We see the slides already, so maybe you can give us one sentence about investment plans and growth plans for 2017 as well.
This year we have in total in the group an investment program on almost 150 million euro. 150 million, this is quite a lot. It's half of that is development programs, because meanwhile we are running two brands, KTM and Husqvarna. We are almost close to start with of production with the new Husqvarna bikes, street bikes. The new mid-class from KTM, the 800, which is a highly expected model, is also on the way. So in the EICMA show in Milano, you will see the future program in that. So that's really cool. And just to give you also a quick glance, up to now we have employed 500 new employees. So that's just by the way.
And I guess we're at 5,000 at the
meanwhile, we have 5,600 people globally, and more than 4,200 here in Austria.
So that's good news from the job market as well. Mr. Trunkenpolz, Mr. Pierer already pointed at you because of really good numbers in sales, more than 200,000 bikes sold last year, and the forecast is, it's fascinating.
We will touch around 230,000. Since 2010, after the global financial crisis, it's an ongoing story. It's only going one direction, it's going up. And with the strategic alliance with Bajaj, we're managing also to have a strong entry into these emerging markets in Asia and in Latin America. And as Stefan Pierer was already mentioning, we are absolutely keen that this story will continue.
We have another slide prepared for you, so maybe you could explain to us where is the company growing and how much?
Basically, we expect a double-digit growth in almost all regions where we are present. So KTM is a real global player meanwhile. We will have sustainable growth in North America, in Latin America, in Europe. But the big growth driver for sure will be Asia in the next coming years. We have something to catch up there. It's very, very dynamic markets. We were just recently visiting this area. We've been in China, we've been in Southeast Asia, and it's unbelievable to watch how the motorcycle market is developing there.
If we want to explain the success story, or maybe the fairy tale of KTM, it always goes back to three pillars. It's brands, it's globalization, it's innovation. So those three pillars are for sure your special topic, Mr. Kiska. So maybe you can show us a little bit how difficult was it to find the right brand values for KTM, and how important are they nowadays?
Always important as a mark. For us as an orientation mark. How difficult was it to develop them? I wouldn't say we have developed them, we found them there. So this is the true belief and the innards of KTM, so to say. This is not just a slogan, and our values are not just words, it's what we experience, what we live every day, and not just as a guideline, it's definitely the driving force.
Everybody in here knows also the slogan, the claim, ready to race at KTM.
Yes, and they are, so to say, the nucleus of four brand values that we live to and with since more than 25 years. This is performance, this is purity, this is adventure, and this is extreme. And these four words are definitely, let me say, the benchmark in what we do. We measure whatever we do against those four words and say, is this real performance? Is this a real adventure? Is it extreme? And is it pure enough to be sold as a KTM?
So you, as KTM, won more than 270 World Championship titles in motorsport already. And yeah, with this DNA profile ready to race, I have to ask you, Mr. Pierer, when is number 300 coming? Did you set a goal?
I think it's already done this year.
It's done this year?
Yeah, we have to count at the end of the season, so it seems we already passing 300. So
okay. That's good. So we all know KTM.
By the way, we are collecting all World Champion bikes since we started. Meanwhile, we are running out of space to keep that.
I saw that in your office.
Yeah. Throwing around, but meanwhile it's getting really very tight space-wise.
But you don't sell World Championship bikes, no?
No, we keep that always. Usually one model is for the winner and one we keep in our history museum.
Okay.
So that's the style we do.
Perfect strategy. So if we talk about winning, if we talk about the innovative company KTM, if we talk about a visionary businessman, Stefan Pierer, we are at least at the main part of today's short panel talk. We want to head into our discussion about e-mobility. So that's the question we're going to try to answer. Mr. Pierer, we talked before, that's for sure a really hot topic, e-mobility in the automotive industry. And as we talked before, I got the feeling this is a topic that's coming straight from your heart.
This year, I think 10 years ago, we started with our Freeride electric bike. At that time, almost nobody was talking about e-mobility. That was before the hype and after the financial crisis. But at that time we were forcing in Central European countries on doing our sports off-road. The mountain bike business went up, so for them was every space free. So we thought, okay, let's do a motorized mountain bike, let's do electric off-road competition bike. That was the starting idea in 2007. It took a couple of years to develop that because nobody of the suppliers were able to serve us or to supply us in the right thing. We did really everything ourselves. And to be honest, up to now, the total investment in that future technology is almost 20 million euro. So that for us, at that time, we were a little company, it was a huge risk. Throughout the crisis, we stopped for 1-2 years, but we restarted and then we launched it 3 years ago. It's very successful. But honestly saying, so far, we don't earn a margin. We are not that bad like Tesla because the more they are selling, the more they are losing. We did it, I think, because I'm totally convinced that the electromobility in the future takes place in the powered two-wheeler world. On the e-bike, on the bicycle world, it's already through. More than 2/3 of the new bike sales are done on electric bikes. And we think it will move up to 3-4 kilowatt, so the former moped scooter class. And as a top premium product is our Freeride. So in between, we will fill up in the next decade several products.
Also a question to you guys, your future outlook. Do you agree, will there be a big change also in motorcycling, e-mobility?
Yes, definitely. I think not only in terms of distribution, as awareness for e-mobility is getting bigger and bigger in the society. Certainly the channels have to change, the distribution channels have to change. It's more and more digital, but I'm also 100% sure that the classic dealership, the point of sale, will change into a point of experience. So the classic style dealership will not look like that as in the future.
Mr. Kiska?
For designers, it's dream time, so to say, because new architecture of bikes, bringing new possibilities for designer, new opportunities for designer. We see a gap today between a bicycle and a motorcycle. I think this gap will shrink, will disappear. We can foresee an awful lot of interesting crossover products in between, and therefore this is an opportunity that does not come every year.
There are a lot of rumors and talks going around. Is this the end of the combustion engine also for cars? And there are initiatives in Germany, in the UK, to ban diesel cars maybe 2040 or by 2030. What do you think about that?
Politics obviously sometimes are stupid. They don't have any clue about physics and chemical formulas, even their advisors. So if it happens like that, you have to take into consideration where is the raw material coming from. So lithium ion and all this kind of thing. Secondly, nobody is has the whole knowledge how to handle it after accidents, for example. Maybe you can already have some pictures in mind where one or the other Tesla is burning. It's like a nuclear power plant. So, in my opinion, as a bridge technology for the next decade, it will be the hybrid. Like in the bicycle, it's a mild hybrid and a combustion engine, and to save the world and the CO2 thing to get under control. I think the combustion engine will not disappear the next 20-30 years.
What's your opinion? What does it mean for KTM and for motorcycles?
For sure, I think the road is not black and white. To just think about electric-driven two wheels or four wheels, I think it's just ridiculous. I think it's a good example if we take a look on our Enduro motorcycle line. The consumer is free to pick between three engine concepts, basically. We have a completely state-of-the-art, revolutionary two-stroke fuel-injected engine. So this is in terms of fuel consumption and emissions a milestone. we have the classic 4-stroke engine, and as of now, we have the updated Elektro engine. So it will depend on the user, it will depend on his preferences, and I think the market will steer it by itself. But I fully agree, the kind of hybrid engine, of course, will be the solution for longer distance travel. And anyway, emissions are a matter, that's clear, and we have to bring emissions down. This is our job to do, but as I said, it's not like that.
You started off together in the early 90s with KTM, you took over and you led your company through different and difficult times as well. Now it's going to be a new phase. So what's KTM's strategy and what's KTM's roadmap if we agree that e-mobility will be important in the future?
In my opinion, the power two-wheeler is the solution for the urban mobility in the future. So in that we have a clear focus and a clear strategy, a part of our very successful existing sport motorcycle program in off-road or on-road, that we are developing power two-wheelers on electric base between 250, 400 watt up to 15 kilowatt. So that's the range. We think in 10 years time you have at least 50% of the total vehicle fleet is electric. So, and that's a clear strategy, a long-term strategy, but to afford and to achieve that, you need a very successful classic combustion program to earn the money that you can invest in that future.
What does it mean for your work, designing new e-mobility bikes?
First of all, I think it gives customers new opportunities. And we were always driven by customer needs, and I think this is also our program for the future. But with this technology we can fulfill wishes that cannot be fulfilled by today. And therefore I think this opens a complete new market, new kind of products, new types will come up, and this is an opportunity that we have to use. And gives us for sure additional volume in the future.
Mr. Trunkenpolz, what does that mean for your department, sales and distribution? Does the market already change, or when it will be in time?
Yes, because consumer behavior changed dramatically over the last 10 years already. It's a digital world in which we live, and of course this affects our distribution. I also strongly believe that, as I already said, that dealerships will change. Customer buying experience will matter much more than just picking up a product. Coming back to Tesla, I think the product maybe is not a good example to follow, but the way of distribution...
It's not a good example.
Not a good one, okay. But the distribution, the way of distribution is an interesting one. And I can absolutely imagine that we have these few electromobility dealers having the full range of 250 watts to 11 kilowatts, this lightweight e-mobility range, and nothing else. So they're specialized on that and cover the needs of the market. So this is something what will come, and I expect.
So we'll present the Freeride E-XC tonight. So maybe you could give us more insight which bikes are about to come. What will be the range? What are you designing on, or what are you planning?
We will talk about what's coming up in 5 years, but within the next 1-2 years we are already planning to bring the next serial product, which will be a mini bike for kids. So we will replace the current 50cc range by so-called e-mini or ESX. So two models in one that will replace the combustion two-stroke engine that we have in place at the moment. The very next one is then a crossover in between the bicycle and the motorcycle. We call it therefore X-Bike. It's something in between, and then on top of that, and this is already started, and we will come to the market already next season, is portfolio of bicycles, electro bicycles under the brand name as well.
You recently announced the foundation of XCO, a company which is focusing on bicycles, e-bikes as well. Is that also a part of the KTM strategy?
It was our long-term strategy to step in the electric, the e-bike segment. So, but we didn't have the plan to do it that quickly, but it was an opportunity. So a German-based family, very experienced bicycle family business was looking for a new opportunity of a new brand and a cooperation, and we took it immediately because that's racing. You have to take the opportunity, and to have the chance to somebody overtake, you must do it. And we set up that cooperation, and they are starting with Husqvarna in the classic area with the starting operation partner Shimano and the electric engine and the components. But our vision and future development program is to integrate, like in a motorcycle, the engine. So the shifting from the rear end will head towards the engine. So finally it's a small motorcycle in the future with a battery. So that's the long-term vision. And in the next couple of years, for sure, we will do a lot in that segment.
So if you talk like this, I'm getting the impression that the gap between e-bikes and e-bicycles will get smaller and smaller.
Yes, it's basically they are merging to each other. Okay. So the motorcycle is stepping down and the bicycle is going up, and they meet each other. And then it's like setting up a family, new kids are coming out. And that's the disruptive situation what we have. And I think we have the perfect setup for that. And from a quick decision, very brave, and basically our philosophy is trial and error.
And from a sales point of view, the father has to buy the Freeride E-XC and the son gets the new e-bicycle.
Or vice versa. So the father to buy a product from us is good.
But you also got something in your pocket concerning new ownership concepts. So yes. I've read something, we could take that.
I think fractional ownership basically will be a matter in the future. And we try to make a first step into that direction. So electric-driven cars are expensive, so are motorcycles. So we try to find a smart solution to make the motorcycle, the Freeride accessible, easy accessible, and we defined a price of 7,500 euros retail, what is pretty much on the same level as the 250 Freeride F. So this is the 250cc 4-stroke standard combustion driven bike. So we're on the same level, and that is that the price disadvantage of an electric driven motorcycle out. What we then did is the battery and the charger comes extra, and we developed a lease system where customers can lease the battery and the charger with less than 50 euros a month, and basically around about 4 years basis. And this is round about that what fuel costs on a standard combustion engine. So we really make sure that there is no disadvantage for the buyer who is buying a Freeride E-XC. There's another advantage for the consumer certainly, because battery technology is changing, with that rapidly changing and improving. So that one that we introduced today has 50% more capacity as the recent one, and therefore consumers can be always on top of the latest technology in changing batteries. So we try to make the best to get as many attractions to buy the bike.
Mr. Kiska, if we talk about modern agencies, everybody talks about startups. Will it be a chance, or will it be important to use such startups or other, let's say, creative companies to work together with to keep the progress on?
This is an ongoing program already since years. KTM has always lived collaboration from the very first moment on, and also by today, or especially by today, we have ongoing relationships and collaborations with startups, with universities, with outside development companies. So there is a very good network already that we use in order to develop especially latest technology. Connectivity questions have to be answered, electric questions have to be answered, and you cannot know everything. So therefore this is a system in place that we live already since a long time.
So as the big moment of our launch is coming soon, I have to ask you, you don't sell World Championship bikes, but do you guys try freeride bikes?
Yes, it's the only choice you have. You're living in a populated area to ride motorcycles.
So you greenlight new models like the new Freeride E-XC?
Hubert did it? Yeah, sure. You did it already in the last one?
Yes,
so I have an old one because I have the advantage that I would say a former military area is directly in my neighborhood. So we rented it to keep the motocross track there, so it's perfect. Fine in the city.
Perfect. I have to thank you for the moment. We will see each other later because your Q&A session will be later, so your chance to ask questions to those guys here, our panel, will be a little bit later. Thank you for the moment, Mr. Pierer, Mr. Trunkenpolz, Mr. Kiska. Thank you so much. Big applause for them. So that was our first part. Please take a seat. Thank you. So now it's time for our big moment. It's time to present our new baby, our KTM Freeride E-XC, our brand new model. And we thought about who could be the guy who should present this bike. We found the right guy. He's a man who won almost everything in his sports. He won everything in trial, he won everything in enduro, cross and enduro, in hard enduro, in extreme enduro. He's in this motorsport pension since last year, but he's really enjoying. Ladies and gentlemen, we found Teddy. Please welcome him with his brand new KTM Freeride E-XC right there in Hangar 7. Please give it up for Mr. Teddy. Welcome. You came here like a silent assassin. Teddy, welcome at Hangar 7. Please take the microphone. Could you just give us a short impression? How is it to ride this very silent freeride bike?
Yeah, good evening everybody. Thanks for having me, and yeah, it's something, you know, very special, you know, for me to ride a motorcycle and know from here, you know. I was this guy that since I was 5 years old, that people were showing their hands and their fingers saying that this guy's, you know, making a little noise, and so yeah, it's very different. It's, you know, it's the cool thing, it's still performing well, it's still going fast, you know, it still brakes like a dirt bike, it rides, you know, hard, and you can hear it, so it's definitely a new era.
Do you think, could you imagine to race with these bikes one day?
Well, you know, if I would say that I'm an old school guy. I'm a motorcycle with a Korean motorcycle has an engine and a fuel engine, but I can understand. You know, we went from 2-stroke to 4-strokes, we went for 4-strokes, we went to fuel injected 4-strokes, and this is the future. You know, it's gonna come sooner or later, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
I just said you're enjoying your motorsport pension, but you look pretty much in shape. What are you doing all the time?
Yeah, you know, it's been a year almost that I've been you know, retired from racing. But you know, I have such a great sponsor behind me. You know, with KTM, Red Bull. You know, everybody stick with me, and you know, I've been an ambassador for most of my long-time sponsors. And to be honest, you know, with KTM, we've done a lot of work. I took a few months off at first, then, you know, helped the team with the bike. I've been helping the riders a little bit with their training, and helping with the new EFI 300, you know, and I've been around, you know, doing a lot of cool stuff and shooting some videos for the brand, and being there at the race with Red Bull, and I've been pretty busy, but in a different way, you know. So, and I've been riding really a lot, to be honest. You know, I really been on the bike a lot with the guys and myself, because I had nothing to do. I was like, oh, I'll just go ride, I guess.
So you're wearing a big smile, this guy is hot, so it's not boring. Thank you for coming, thanks for having you. So Freddy already rode the bike, now it's getting time to acknowledge a little bit more about technical details, and we have the right people here on stage for you now. Please welcome our KTM Product Marketing Manager Joachim Sauer. On his side, Vice President R&D from the KTM Group, Philipp Habsburg, and the Head of R&D Off-Road, Bernhard Lazzota. Welcome! Hello, servus! Servus, hello, hello. So the stage is yours. Please enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Christian. Thank you, everybody. It's for us in R&D and the product marketing quite an exciting time. So many different models, such a wide range. But I can tell you, when it comes to the entire model range of KTM, off-road motorcycles are by far the biggest segment. So when it comes to detailed figures, right now we produce more than 65,000 motorcycles with knobbly tires. We have three major colors: motocross, off-road competition, and the third one is the Freeride E and the Freeride segment in general. So we recently launched the 250 Freeride F, and now our latest baby in our family is the new generation of Freeride E-XC. E stands for electric, X, C stands for cross-country. It's a clear sign, it's an off-road oriented motorcycle. But before we talk about all the details, I would like to talk a little bit about the history of the motorcycle, of e-mobility. And fortunately we have our experts from R&D here, and Philipp, it's now more than 10 years that we have been working and dealing with e-mobility. Can you tell us, how did that all start?
It's really a long time ago that we start with the project. First of all, for sure, we are always an innovative company. We are always heading for new ideas and new technologies all around the world. And somehow it was clear to us that e-mobility is the future also in motorcycling. So we tried to have a first concept, have first ideas. We have the Austrian Research Fund, which helps us a lot, and we have the Austrian Institute of Technology, which we set up a project with them. And we firstly did a very rough prototype. So we took the 125 E-XC because it was quite clear for us that a Freeride E, or at that time we have no name for it, but for an electric bike it should be about the 125cc. We put an engine inside, we took a backpack on the bike with all the batteries inside, and we really first of all tried out how this could work, how an electric engine feels in the bike. Yeah, and all in all it feels quite good. It has a lot of torque, a lot of fun, and therefore we decided to go on with this project. We decided to do the project at all, and yeah, it took us quite some time to come into production.
Philipp, it was actually in 2014, many of you guys went to Salzburg Hangar when we presented the Freeride E the first time. Why did that take so long?
So 7 years for us is not the usual project time from first idea to production. But we first of all went from one exhibition to the other, and everybody told us that it's super clear, everything is fine, everything knows a lot about e-mobility, about e-motors, about ECUs, about batteries. But you already heard that from Stefan Pierer. After normally the second or the third question about details, we found out that there is no real supply industry, especially for motorcycles. So that was the reason that we hired people that have some know-how, and for sure that took some time. And for us it's really a complete new platform, so it also took some time for us to redimension the whole bike, to find out what's the best solution for every part of it. And for sure, as you know, if we want to come out with a product, we want to have a perfect product. And The second point was clearly that we defined for ourselves we want to have a real big test outside the company. So in 2012 we started the first pre-production. I think we built about 140 to 150 bikes, and with that bikes we brought them to some e-cross centers, we call them like that. It was all done in Middle Europe, and there our customers for the future could ride the bike, could test the bike, and also there we found out that there were some smaller problems and we solved them all. And then in 2014 finally we started the production. So actually that was how 7 years just passing by.
We got a lot of feedback. We had so many riders out there in different countries, and this was very beneficial for fine-tuning actually the product.
Yes, just an example. We were pretty sure that it's okay if we go into production with an air-cooled engine, but we found out, especially because of our changing system of the battery, we could change the battery very easily. So especially in the e-cross centers, the bikes run the whole day. They change the battery, charge the other one, change it again. So and after 2 or 3 complete charged or recharged batteries, we found out that the ECU and the engine overheats. That was the reason for introducing the water cooling. And at the end, when we went into production, the engine was then water cooled, and it helps a lot to fulfill our own targets.
But it was not just on the motor battery side, it was also on the chassis side, Barney. It was quite a challenge to get that bike to what it is now.
Yeah, for sure on the chassis side, we never did an electric engine fitting into the chassis before. So the most challenging thing was to figure out what's the best concept for this configuration. For us, the main target was that we have a removable battery. So the target was to change the battery within the time what you normally use to fill the fuel tank. So that's why we came up with a parameter frame. On top we have the battery, and you just have to unscrew 4 bolts, and then you can lift the battery. Also, it was important to have a nice clean area where you charge then the battery. Besides this, also from the combustion engines, we always have a look on the center of gravity. So we tried to have the battery as low as possible and as far back as possible. That's why we moved the battery quite far back. It's close to the mounting point of the shock. The third point was that we trust in the steel frame. So, because the steel frame from the material itself has had a big benefit to support the suspension, especially in the front end. It's very important. That's why we decided to choose steel for the frame. But we ran into a collision problem with the battery in the back end, so we came up with the idea to use a big forged aluminum piece, which was also very positive design-wise, and also the shape, the contact area is much nicer on this frame concept now.
Well, and the result actually is a fully fledged enduro motorcycle. This is not just a toy, this is a real motorcycle. This bike is made actually for all kind of riding. It's an all-rounder. I frequently use that bike to go to work, for instance. On the way back to home, I have a quick stop at the Freeride Park and do some loops there. And sometimes when I come home, I also can do some riding just in front of my house. To my house, I live in the middle of the sticks somewhere out of Atlantikhofen, and even though it's not 100% allowed, I can do riding motorcycles. And a good example, everybody knows when it comes to off-road riding, noise is the main obstacle. And for example, we have tried for many years to get a motocross track in Mattighofen. No chance. For a Freeride electric motorcycle, we got the permission right away, and that's actually a major benefit for such a vehicle. And of course, it's also a great bike for people who want to step into riding motorcycles. So it's actually super simple to ride a Freeride E. It has a smooth power delivery, fully controllable. You have all the features you need to control the bike on the handlebar. Both brakes are on the handlebar, and you just sit on the bike. Actually, it's easy as riding a scooter. But that's actually enough of talking. Philip, let's talk a little bit about the new updates of the new model, of the new generation. I heard there are some interesting news when it comes to battery. What did you do there?
Yes, for sure. We did a lot of updates at the bike. Two of them you see here. It's mainly the battery. We have an improvement in capacity of 50%. So we are using the latest lithium-ion technology inside there. It's a Sony cell, and as you know, the market there develops in a really fast way. So that's equipped now with the latest cells, and it's now 3.9 kilowatt hours. So it's really a major improvement in the whole range of the bike. And as we all know, range in electromobility is one of the key questions.
Yeah, that's absolutely, and I've done quite a lot of riding with that new bike already. I used to be able to ride for an hour in the woods around my home. I shouldn't say woods in to my home, but I did it. With this new battery, I easily can go now for more than 1.5 hours. And also when it comes to climbing in the mountains, the predecessor battery, it made around 1.5 hours maybe. With the new battery, I can do much more than 2 hours, because also in the downhill I can recuperate energy from the motor back into the battery. But Philip, also on the motor you did quite a lot of improvements.
Yes, as always at KTM, when we introduce a new bike, we also increase the peak performance. Peak performance is increased from 16 to nearly 20 kilowatts. So it's quite good, and you can really feel it. So for us, these two are for sure the main elements in the improvement on the drivetrain side. Yeah,
the basic performance is actually, the homologated performance is 9 kilowatt. That means it's an A1 compliant motorcycle.
Yes, so that's for sure also one of the big advantages in e-mobility. There's the rated power, which is pretty low because there are some homologation requirements we have to fulfill. But there's then always, as an electrical engine, is the physical thing in it. It's a peak power, and the peak power is normally much higher than the rated power, so you can ride it with an A1 license, and we have nearly 20 kilowatts in your pocket.
That means actually the peak performance is close to 25 horsepower.
It's close to 25.
And the torque is, I think, was it 42
Newton meters, so that's about the same level of a 250 E-XC engine, two-stroke, so it's quite good. And the main advantage of an electric engine is that you really have it from zero. So that's the feeling you get when you ride a bike. It's a real motorbike.
Let's quickly talk about the recuperation. How does that work?
So we have on the bike, we have 3 different modes, and there's the first one, we call it Eco mode. So it's the one with a little bit decreased power, it's for long range riding, and in this mode we do also recuperation. So when you go down the hill, the engine charges the battery, and as you explained, you can go for much longer. Then there's the second mode, it's 16 kilowatt and standard mode, and then there's the third mode, it's an advanced mode as we call it. It's then the 18 kilowatts peak performance and really aggressive power.
Barney, we had some discussions when it came to recuperation. We both agreed immediately, straight away, we are still young and dynamic. We want to keep the character of that bike as an easy-to-ride, dynamic bike. Why didn't you ask for recuperation in the other modes?
No, for sure, if you're above 50 years, you need the feeling of being young and speedy. So for me, to have kind of, if you go with the downhill mountain bike, you don't want to break the engine, the flow. And with the recuperation, that's from my point of view, feeling-wise, a disadvantage if you go downhill on a nice trail. If it's really steep, then probably you use it, but as soon as you're on slippy terrain, the recuperation starts to lock the rear wheel on really slippery conditions, and that's for me a big disadvantage. Feeling-wise, it's much...
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I experienced, once I want to do the maximum altimeters in the mountains, I love to have recuperation because I can charge the battery in the downhill in order to make some additional uphills after. But when it comes to flowy, dynamic riding, we decided not to have recuperation. But Barney, looking at this bike in general, it looks so much fresher, so much cooler, so much more modern than before. What have you done on the chassis side?
I mean, design-wise, for sure we concentrate on the front end, on the complete front end. Also, design-wise, so we have new fog protectors, we have a new front fender. So the guys who were riding the predecessor know that the front fender was always moving quite a lot. So we came up with the motocross design. It's much stiffer and also from the looking much better. The front mask is new. The biggest advantage is that we can use the E-XC front light. This one, the power output of the light is much better than the old one. And also on the front we can see the bike with the technical accessory. There we have an LED lamp for those guys who would like to race during night. It's a big advantage from the light output. Also we are using now the new handguards, so we made new brackets. Additional to the standard equipped handguards, you can also use the closed version. In technical accessory, you just have to screw on the bracket on the handguard and also on the handlebar.
Yeah, Barney, I know you always forget the new colors. For an R&D guy, of course, it doesn't count so much, but looking at this bike, it's looking so much younger, so much fresher. That's exactly what we need. But also when it comes to riding, the bike feels more adult. We mounted also a wider handlebar. We now have the fully eye grips on the bike. And all in all, there is also quite a modification on the suspension which has changed the bike characteristic a lot, isn't it?
Yeah. Like you mentioned before, the old Freeride E was a little bit more for the average or for the beginners. So guys like the guys who are coming from downhill or also from the E-XC, they would like to have a wider handlebar, they would have to have a more stable feeling. Therefore, we made a lot of changes, but we focused on the front side, on the suspension. So now we have the same cartridge system what we are using on the E-XC. So it's a split close cartridge front fork with adjustable compression and rebound on top. Also the length is a little bit increased, 10 mil. That's why we could make also the steering on the frame 25 millimeter long, so you get out a more stable feeling. The big advantage of the front fork is that we could create much more progression out of the system. So we have a new hydraulic stop, and at the end of the day we have a much wider range. So you can go, you still have the sensitive feeling for going on trail riding, and also you can go on small motocross tracks without bottoming out the front fork always. Also the shock is based on the E-XC shock, so it's a cup system in. The size of the piston, everything we overtook from the E-XC, so we have much more bottoming resistance, and in combination with the more progressive spring and more progressive setting, we also have much more comfort and much more bottoming resistance.
Yeah, sitting on that bike, it's really, it feels completely different to the predecessor. It feels so much more adult. It's a fully fledged enduro motorcycle now, and in line with the new suspension, with the new Explorer suspension, also a new rear tire is even improving the suspension behavior, and in addition, it leaves a little greener, a smaller, greener footprint on the ground. So all in all, a lot of different changes. Actually, you touch all areas of the bike, from frame, from chassis, from suspension, from bodywork until motor, battery.
And also, for those who would like to go a little bit faster, like the old enduro guys were asking for a little bit more brake power, so also on the brake side we have now inox piston on the front brake in combination with the sintered parts. You have pads, you have much more brake power on the front end, so the complaints also from the more racy guys should be history. On the rear, we came up with 22mm piston diameter instead of 24 to get a better feeling on the rear brake.
Well, Barney, actually a lot of little details, but changing the bike a lot, and also when it comes to motor and battery, quite interesting new. Philip, one question immediately we would hear out in the crowd. Will that new battery be exchangeable or fittable into an old bike?
Yes, very clear answer. You can fit it in an old bike. But as you already heard the last 20 minutes, it's not just the battery, it's a lot more. So we would propose to buy a new bike.
I think Hubert too. Well, my very last question to you, Philip. We have produced 25 pre-production bikes now, which are standing around here and also in our subsidiaries. When will the mass production start?
So mass production starts right after Christmas holidays, so beginning of January we will start, and so I think about a week later it should be available at the dealer floor.
That's it on our side, I think. If you need any more detailed information, we will be around with you all the entire evening. There will also be the project leader Stutzi with us, and of course you will find all details in the press kit as well. I will hand back to Christian and thank you guys for doing this presentation with me.
A round of applause for them. Thank you so much. The new Freeride E-XC is out of the box, and you for sure will have the chance to take photos and watch it in detail afterwards. But we want to do a quick Q&A session for you guys as well. So now your chance to ask questions, and that's why I want to welcome back here on stage our high-ranking representatives. Please come back to me, Mr. Pierer, Mr. Trunkenpolz, Mr. Kiska. Once again, and you can ask your question now if you want about the bike, about KTM, about the e-mobility strategy. So my first question, we heard before, bike is ready. When can I order one?
Right now.
Right now? Okay, we do that later.
No, all book is open, and I think after this presentation, people will be convinced to start paying the price.
Okay, perfect. So, your chance to ask questions. You're gonna do the microphone. So if you have a question, just raise your hands or give us a sign. Joachim will be there in 2 or 3 seconds and you can ask your question. Okay. Up there, it's a little bit dark there.
Good evening, I'm Francisco from Motorcyclism from Portugal. My question is a two-part question. Talking about e-mobility, we have already seen some very interesting prototypes testing of naked Duke-like bike with an electric engine. Is it expected to be on sale next year? Will we see more other than the Freeride already next year? And the second question is, as you already know, in 2019, Dorna is expecting to create a new series of electric bikes to compete together with MotoGP. Does KTM have any plans? Of course, you won't speak a lot about that, but are you planning something in that regard? Thank you.
Question goes to Mr. Pierer.
Yeah, it's a clear question. That's the top product. It's the Freeride. We don't launch a product for on-road A1 class. You think that you, honestly saying, the battery pack what you need to serve the mileage of 1800 kilometers is that heavy or that big that never ever is becoming a business case. That's the problem of that. On racing, on street racing, we are not convinced that e-mobility will come in a short period. You can see it on the Formula E, it's a kid, never ever. On off-road it's different because environmental issues. Secondly, the more lightweight the product with that, for sure you will see on the Erzberg. So that thing in competition.
We have a couple rides in the audience here, so
yeah, maybe now he knows what we have to do, but it's clear. Yeah? And as soon electromobility becomes a serious racing item, then it's cool. Otherwise, it's not cool.
Maybe one word to that. We do not see electromobility as a replacement for everything. It's one additional opportunity that we give to our customers. I think the future of mobility is that we have much more purpose-built motorcycles or vehicles out there. And the one vehicle that does it all, I think is history. The special vehicle that does the one thing better than anything, I think is the future. And so therefore my guessing for the future is that the garage is getting a little bit bigger because we have more than one bike in there.
So, second question, please. Right in the middle, right in the middle.
From 1000 PS, you were talking about the battery and the charger that you can lease it, but is there the possibility to buy it right away? Also maybe a second battery? That's the first question. And second question, when will be the upgrade for the supermoto version? Thank you.
Certainly there will be the opportunity to buy the charger and the battery, that's no doubt about. It will add up another 4,000 euros for the battery itself. So our proposal is to do it the other way, but if you want to own the battery and charger by yourself, then of course that's clear, it's possible. And in regards to the supermoto version, we have no update planned so far. I think, or I'm keen that if you want to have electro-driven motorcycle for the cities, you need some other features on the bike. So like pillar footrest and some storage for at least a helmet. So it was really to try the first product in I would say urban conditions. That was it about, and it's no plans that this will have a success.
And in addition, maybe the lease model has a second advantage because you have, I would say, the recycling issue is solved, because as a manufacturer we have to take care for that, and secondly you can get the latest release or update of the battery. Just to give you a quick glance how the battery cell has developed throughout 5 years. It almost increased by more than 50%, and if you can see that curve, maybe in the next 3 years is the next 50%, and then you have a mileage. Anyway, you have to give up in off-road more than 2 hours. I think it's not possible for human being, for Danny for sure.
Some more questions. I guess right in the back, and we have one there and one in the first row.
Hello, now we are talking about growing market of electric bikes. I'm wondering how many pieces were sold last 2 years of the Freeride E?
So in total more than 3,000 pieces. We are in that segment by far the market leader. We have 80% market share worldwide. So we're really the pioneers in that segment. And as 3,000 units may not seem a lot, but to be the first one, it is a lot, believe me, and much more to come.
So basically, usually we are hiding such. We are the world's biggest manufacturer of electric motorcycles. Just by the way.
That's the headline for us. Yeah. So I guess there was one over there in the corner. Did I see that properly? Okay, I guess then we're done.
Yeah.
Here is last question right in front.
Thank you. Which society did you choose for the battery? Which, it's a German society, Canadian society, Asian society?
The supplier.
The supplier, I can tell you, they are basically 5, 6 dominating manufacturers or suppliers, and they are the 2 Koreans. It's Samsung and LG. Originally we started with Samsung, but honestly saying we had not good experience, especially the service quality of Samsung. It's a Korean company, it's a headache. Then you have 2 Chinese, maybe I don't get it, and they are very experienced Japanese ones. It's Panasonic and INTERESSIERTE. Currently it's the leading manufacturer regarding quality and capacity.
Good for you. Okay, perfect. Then is there something from your side you want to add or you want to say as a conclusion at the end of our small presentation?
You're welcome with the world of electromobility. I think it's right in time to get something to eat and drink. So perfect. Enjoy the evening.
I need you guys here for a group photo. And to all of you, as Mr. Pierer mentioned, if you're hungry, that's perfect. Oh, one last question. One last important question. Okay, we do the photo afterwards. One last question. Last question.
Christian Cavacciuti from Mixo for Italy. Just one philosophy question if you want, but you have now on the same roof 2 different companies, one which is ready to race and one which is pioneering. I would expect this e-bike to be a pioneering project, so I was wondering why this is branded as a KTM.
Because at the time we started it, there was no Husqvarna.
There was no Husqvarna. But honestly saying,
good question.
Since 4 years we have a second brand, which is a big help for us because we can target in a different style, pioneering. And for sure, you are right. In the future, you will see in between wiki concepts with the brand logo of Husqvarna.
So thank you for that one. Now it's time for your photo. It's time for us to head over if you are hungry. Dinner is well deserved and will be served soon. So thank you for joining us here at our presentation at Hangar 7. We're ready to race and we're ready to race with this baby. And if you have questions, I guess the guys will be here for you after dinner as well. So enjoy your evening, even your night flight here at Hangar 7. Thanks for having me, thanks for having us. And I wish you a wonderful time here within KTM. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.